My name is Corey May, and I am one of the two hosts for this afternoon. I am a founding member of TellersBridge. If you look around, you might very well see people spattered throughout the audience wearing TellersBridge shirts. He'll tell you more about that in just a moment, but we want to thank you all for making the inaugural Cedar Rapids Storytelling Festival a success. On the day, you will see 10 storytellers. All of them have something to say that will lift you up, make you think, entertain you, maybe bring a tear to your eye. So far, you've heard my voice, but I brought a few friends along, and next on the mic is my man, Mark. Go on, Mark, sing that song.
Thank you, Corey. I am Mark Latta. I remembered my name for this introduction this time, so I'm feeling good about it. We're off to a good start. There are several people that we need to thank. The storytelling event is free, of course, but it's not free to put on, and we need to really recognize some people that has made this possible today. I've written it down so I don't forget it. First of all, we need to thank the Cedar Rapids Public Library and their fabulous staff for giving us a facility, for helping us with the marketing, for being there, a shoulder to cry on. Amen, brother. Amen. Someone to celebrate with, mostly a shoulder to cry on. We also have to thank some donors. We have two anonymous donors who both have put forward matching funds of 500. Wow, it's a great show.
Comma?
5,000, that's right. $5,000 apiece. We need to thank David Meyer, who was one of our major sponsors. He's with the Cedar Rapids City Council. David Meyer, thank you so much. I want to thank members of TellersBridge who have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. It wouldn't have been possible without them.
You know, Mark, why don't we have them stand up for a hot second?
Why don't we do that? Let's do that.
If you've got a TellersBridge shirt on, stand up and turn it around. Show everybody what it is. Show them what you're working with. You may also see people wearing the Cedar Rapids Storytelling Festival shirts. They're making this possible.
Yep. Our loyal audience is also making it possible. Give yourselves a round of applause. And of course, I want to thank in advance all the storytellers who are going to tell stories over the next 2 hours. Why don't we all stand up and give them a pre-standing ovation?
We're speaking it into existence. Clearly, speaking it into existence.
All right, all the pressure's off now, right? You've already got your standing ovation.
Yeah, y'all don't have to be great anymore. You just have to be good.
You just have to be good enough. Also, we need to thank IPR, who is here. Please help us thank IPR. This will be on IPR at some point. We don't really know when, so you now need to listen to IPR 24/7 until this comes on. Yes, I know, right? I'm with you, sister.
Oh, wait. For those of you who are from out of state, IPR stands for Iowa Public Radio.
Thank you.
We have some Illinois people who might get confused and think we're talking about their IPR. But since they crossed the Mississippi into Iowa, this is Iowa Public Radio.
Yeah, it's so confusing, so confusing. So many I's. Finally, you're going to start seeing a clipboard circulating. TellersBridge does stories twice a month. Thank you, there it is. A clipboard circulating. If you want to be on our mailing list and know a little bit more about TellersBridge, go out to tellersbridge.org, or you can sign up right here and we'll get you on our mailing list.
Wow,
can applaud. Yeah, that's
resounding applause for that.
Yeah. We promise not to spam you. We promise not to spam you. Corey, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, let's get ourselves centered here. Now, everybody has a job. We've talked about what the Cedar Rapids Public Library has done and their jobs. We've talked about IPR and this gentleman's job. You know what Mark and I are doing, but I have to tell you, you too have a job. While this might be free and open to the public, you have a job. And every storyteller that you are going to hear deserves to be paid in the currency of applause. So I know we've done the standing ovation. That was just a warm-up, making sure your hamstrings don't get pulled. But we can put our hands together and practice to start getting paid in the currency of applause. Let's do that again. The other great thing about great storytellers is they need a great audience, and that requires great listeners. Every great storyteller requires a great listener. So in order to make sure that we don't have any distractions, this is a cell phone. Turn it to the silent mode or airplane mode. Or off. Now, you don't want to be that person whose phone is on and it rings during the climactic moment of someone's story, because everybody's going to turn and look at you like this.
Is that stink eye? Is that stink eye that you
That's full-on stink eye. And I have a sergeant at arms who will take you and make you talk to a librarian about being quiet in the library. So, phones, off, silent. Agreed?
Yay!
All right. It's time for the show. Our first storyteller comes to us from Stillwater, Minnesota, by way of Chicago, by way of New York City. Howard Lieberman has had an amazing life, and because of that amazing life, he is willing to take you on a journey with him. And that's part of great storytelling, that they pull you out of your seat, transport you into someone else's life, allowing you to see through their eyes and feel it in your body. You are privileged to hear from Howard Lieberman. His first story, Marching with Martin.
First of all, I'd like to say this is my first time in your fair city, Cedar Rapids. I thought that was somewhere in northern Minnesota. I didn't know it was in Iowa. And so far, I'm very impressed. I mean, that it was from the bottom of my heart. This seems like a great community. And I know none of you recognize what I'm wearing, but this is from a comic book. Some of you heard me say this. This is the character known as Hawkeye. I wore this for all y'all. It's August of 1966. I just stepped in the house and the phone's ringing. I answer the phone. It's a call from a group called the Students for a Sane Democracy. They want to know if my older brother would like to go on a march with Dr. Martin Luther King for open housing in Chicago. And if you don't know, Chicago has always been the most segregated major city in the country. And I live on the north side. I'm what was called a North Side Jew. I didn't know any black people, except we had one rich relative who lived on the North Shore, who had a person who came in and cleaned the house who was a person of color, a black woman, who they condescendingly referred to as the Schwarze. And that was my only interaction with black people. But you know what? I decided I would go on that march. I didn't even tell my brother about the phone call. I thought, going on a march, I might be able to meet girls. The march was going to be at Marquette Park on the south side of Chicago. I had never been on the south side of Chicago. The day of the march, I got on the L, that's the train, and I started heading south. And I discovered that when you get closer to Washington, the dividing line between north and south, the white people are getting off, and the black people are getting on. And I was afraid. I was afraid. If there was a single white person on that train with me, it didn't matter if that was a bum drinking out of a bottle in a paper bag, as long as I wasn't the only white person, I wasn't afraid. And we went further south to something called the Ashland Spur. And I don't know what that is today, but there was something called the Ashland Spur. And we took the train to the end of the line. And I got off the train, and there's all these big black men waiting to greet me. Now, they were like Corey size. Big black men, which scared the bejeebers out of me. I'm not going to lie. As I said, I'm a North Sider. I didn't know black people. And one very large man hands me a sign. He said, "You're for a march, right?" I said, "Yes, sir, I really am." He said, "Good boy." And there we are. A little skinny, not yet bald, Jewish guy with all these black, mostly men. I'm holding a sign, and we start marching. And I noticed there were white people around us. I didn't know there were white people on the south side. I think they were what we called white ethnics. And as we're marching, this car, this old beater of a car, pulls up next to me. And the window comes down, and some guy, he looks like any of you here, he starts screaming at me. Invective, things that I won't repeat here. But the word lover comes after what they called me. And he's saying, "They don't know any better. They're a bunch of animals, but shame on you, shame on you." And he starts throwing cigarette butt at me. He takes his ashtray while he's driving, and he empties it on me. And then he takes a can of Chicago's finest old-style beer, and he throws it right at me, all over my clothes. All over my clothes. And this large black man marching alongside of me said, "Here." And he reached in his backpack and he pulled out a sweatshirt. He said, "Just in case it got cold, I brought a change of clothes." And he gives it to me. And I put down the sign a minute, and I put on this sweatshirt. It's like a mini dress. I put on this sweatshirt, and I pick up my sign, and we walk. And we walk. And I'm feeling excited. I'm going to get to meet Dr. Martin Luther King. And I don't think I knew who Dr. Martin Luther King was, but everybody seemed to think he was great. And as we get closer to Marquette Park, people are coming out of their houses, screaming at us for daring to have black people and that little white Jewish guy marching through their neighborhood. And there were cops, Chicago's finest. You know, the ones with the billy clubs like this, standing there, looking at this. And people are throwing things at us, garbage. shouting words to us, which is even more garbage. And as we get closer to the park, a car pulls up, a nice sedan, and a very elegantly dressed, powerful-looking man steps out. And the man with whom I'm marching says, "That's Dr. King, isn't he magnificent?" And I'm mesmerized. And then I notice that the white people are throwing things at Dr. Martin Luther King. All kinds of things. They're screaming. They're yelling. You'd think that the Nazis were marching in Skokie, maybe. And one person grabs a big rock and hurls it and hits Dr. King right in the head. His bodyguards circle around him. They want to put him back in the car. He says no. He stands up taller, prouder. The neighbors start closing in on us. They're closing in on us. They've got garbage can hoods, and they've got sticks. They've got everything. And I look at the police. Thump, thump. And they attack us. They attack the marchers. They don't attack the people who are attacking us. They attack the marchers. And it gets violent. And they're swinging their billy clubs at our heads. And the neighborhood folks are throwing rocks and probably old-style beer cans and all kinds of other things at us. And I'm not a brave person. I went to meet girls. I look around, scared. The big man whose mini dress I'm wearing, he said, "You better get out of here. It's going to get dangerous." And then another stone hits Dr. King in the forehead right here. And this time his bodyguards insist that he get in the car. And they drive away. I take a last look, and I know, see, I'm white. I can blend in with the community. And I head back towards the L. I walk, I see the chaos. I get to the L, and one of Chicago's finest is like this. "Where do you live?" "I live on the north side, sir." "Well, you better get on that train and get the hell out of here, because those people are animals. They're savages, and you'll get killed if you stick around here." And you know what? It didn't occur to me that he might be speaking about the local people. He was speaking about the marchers. I got on the L. I took the spur back to the regular CTA line. And I got on a car on the south side where I was the only white person. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid until we hit Washington. When the black people got off and the white people got on, I looked around. If there was any other black person, I wouldn't be as afraid. And I went home. And my life has never been the same. Thank you. There's a time limit, you know. How am I doing on time? Anybody know? I didn't look at that. Okay, who cares? Okay, we'll try something a little bit friendlier. Or should I? I was going to tell a story about traveling across country with my daughter, but too many of you have heard that story earlier. But on one of our trips, this is a quickie, on one of the trips cross country with our daughter, Megan, who went to college in Southern California, we would drive together because my wife, Pat, who's sitting there, she didn't like to travel with us. Megan drives like her father, which is to say, the speed limit is it's kind of a vague guideline, but you don't pay attention. And we drive sometimes with one hand while we're talking to our fellow passengers, and my wife, as between the two of us, is the responsible adult. So we're talking, and we pull over. We're about to go into a motel, get a couple of rooms. And she looks at me and says, "Dad, I have to tell you something. When we were camping in the backyard, we live on a lake in Stillwater, Minnesota, and there's a big, huge backyard in the lake over there. When we were camping in the backyard, we were smoking cigarettes and drinking beer." I said, "I know." She looked at me like only a teenage daughter can look at her father, with a look of, "Oh, Dad, don't give me that kind of nonsense." And that kind of look my wife sometimes gives me, that, come on. "How would you know? How would you know?" she says. I said, "Well, Megan, you see, I had to clean up the mess the next morning. I picked up the cigarette butts and the empty beer cans." And she looked at me like, I never thought of that. "Why didn't you stop us?" she said. "Why did you let us do that?" I said, "Because you're a teenager. Teenagers are going to do bad things. Hopefully not very bad things. And we would rather have you do that in our backyard, where we could have some semblance of control. And that's why we did that." And she looked at me, not with that steely glint, but I think something bordering on admiration. She has 2 kids now, a boy and a girl. Our granddaughter just played softball today, and we were able to see it on video from Houston, Texas, where they live. Last time we went to visit, I said to my daughter, Megan, "I can't wait till Nora is a teenager." Thank you.
That was Howard Lieberman, all the way from Stillwater, Minnesota. Our next storyteller, there's a lot to say, but here's the blurb. Technology is a convenience upon which we have come to rely. It's supposed to make our lives better. Thumbprints, passcodes, retinal scans. Technology is supposed to make life better, right? Mark Latta is going to raise that question in what's in a name? Please welcome Mark Latta.
Corey just introduced me as Mark Latta. That's not 100% correct. In fact, my full name is Chad Mark Latta. But I never liked the name Chad very much. It's fine for some people, just not for me. So when I was in the Navy and switching duty stations, between one duty station and the next, I introduced myself as Mark. and I've been Mark for the past 35 years. Well, except for to my family and to bill collectors, right? They haven't caught on, but it's really nice because I get a call, it's like, is Chad there? No, he is not. Click. So I've been Mark for 35 years, until recently. We had a contractor who was starting. Her name was Janine. And it was my role to get her signed up for an email account and all that other stuff. So I went out to our help desk, and I did that. Janine Smith. All right, let's get her set up. JANINE.Smith. And boom, she has an email. And I forwarded it on to her home email address. The next day I get a call from the contracting agency. Hey, we're really excited that you got everything set up, but you misspelled her name. I did. Yes, it's Janine, Jeanine. Oh, that's not a problem. I go out to the help desk portal, I submit a ticket. What is your name? Mark Latta. What are you changing? First name. Don't get ahead of me. New first name, Janine. Jeanine. And I put it in the comments. It was very clear. I want to change Janine, Janine, to Janine, Jeanine. Very clear. Very clear. Click submit. 5 minutes later, your new login is J Latta. It's not what I wanted to have happen. So I called up the help desk and I said, hey, look, there's been a confusion here. I'm not changing my name, I'm changing Janine Smith's name and adding an E. And the help desk says, oh, well, yeah, we can do that, but why don't you just have her do it after she starts? I'm like, perfect, we'll do that. By the way, can you cancel my ticket? Well, why don't you just cancel it on the ticket on your screen? I'm like, there is no cancel button. So at the end of the call, we all agreed what needed to happen. They would cancel the ticket, and then Janine would clear up her own name confusion when she started. What happened next was nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened that day, nothing happened the next day. The third day, it's 3:30. And I'm logged into websites, intranet websites I should be able to get to. Suddenly they stop working. All right, this is weird. This is super weird. But you know what? I'm done working for the day anyhow. So I shut my computer and we're done. The next day, I log in. M. Latta, password 1. Do not judge me. Password 1, access denied. Poof. M. Latta, Password 1. Access denied. J. Latta, password 1. Poof, you're in. Oh, no. First place I go is to Teams. I look up, and sure enough, there it is. Janine, with an E, Latta. I'm like, oh, no. I mean, I have been Mark for 35 years, and my parents still haven't caught on. They're going to be really disappointed when I have to explain to them that my name is now Janine. So I go out to the help desk, right? I'll just clear it all up. I'll redo it. But I don't have access because in their system, I'm Mark, but my name is Janine, and so I can't get to the help desk site. Okay, all right. Let me explain a little bit about how technology works, if you're not familiar. This is a 10,000 view level, and this is the Mark Latta, or Janine, could be anybody at this point, I'm not really sure. The Mark Latta explanation of how this works. So when you submit a ticket, it's not like a real human being that goes out and looks at that ticket. It's a bot. A bot looks at it. And you would think the easiest thing for the bot to do is to get all the servers in one room and be like, hey guys, Mark now wants to be known as Janine. Well, the servers would be like, well, is he going through some sort of transition? Bot would say, I don't know, I didn't read the comments. And you'd think that's how it worked. Just get all the servers in one room, boom, all done. No, that's not the way it works. The bot goes out and tells one server. Then that one server is like, okay, well, I'll get to it at some point. And then it goes out and tells a second server when it's done. And then it goes and tells a third server, and then a fourth server. It's called replication across the network. So even though I was Janine on Teams, I was Mark in email, and in some sites I was Mark, in some sites I was Janine, as it replicated across the network. I had coworkers, and I had two different responses depending on who the coworker is. One, do you know that your name is now Janine? Yes, in fact, I'm well aware. But they would send me helpful screenshots. It's like, it says your name is Janine right here. I know. The second kind of response was, so, do we start calling you Janine now? No, don't call me Janine. And this went on and on for days and into a week until I finally called the help desk and I'm like, please stop making me Janine. I'm tired of being Janine. Oh, well, why don't you just submit a ticket? I can't submit a ticket because you're not real sure if I'm Mark or Janine right now. They're like, okay, well, we'll take care of it, which means that I will tell the bot to take care of it, who will tell a server, who will tell another server, who will tell another server. And so for weeks, I was Janine, or sometimes Mark. Meanwhile, the other Janine started. And she thought it was hilarious. In 3 days, they had cleared up that she needed an E in her name. Meanwhile, I was Janine, Mark, back and forth for weeks. And hey, why don't we weigh in? Janine, what do you think about this problem? My coworkers loved it. So Shakespeare said, what's in a name? I'm here to tell you a hell of a lot. Corey.
Mark Latta, Wilton's finest, Cedar Rapids Joy Now. Our next storyteller is Tim Boyle. He believes in rock and roll and the healing powers that can in fact save your mortal soul, and that Top 40 radio gave him a glimpse into the divine once upon a time. Please welcome Tim Boyle in the best damn year of his whole damn life. Tim Boyle.
Corey, thanks a lot. Thank you so much. And of course, what a wonderful story. And who can forget that Dolly Parton wrote a song about Mark? Janine, 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 what do... Mark grew up in Wilton, Iowa. I grew up in Bennett, Iowa. Two little bitty towns not far from one another, kind of between Davenport and Iowa City. And yes, it was a small school I was in. We had to multitask. I was the valedictorian, the class clown, and the third best baseball player. So we had to put them all together. So anyway, yeah. Oh, 1970. Best damn year of my whole damn life. I was, if we want to go Sound of Music here, I was 14 going on 15 as we left that turbulent decade, the 1960s, behind us with a fresh start in 1970. Yeah, the 60s a little rough on a lot of people, especially rough on my family, the Boyle family. I'm Timothy Patrick Boyle. That's about as Irish as you can get. And my mother was kind of the keeper of our Irishness in the family. And I don't know if many of you are possibly Irish, at least a little bit. You know the Irish, we love us some death. I mean, memorials, wakes, funerals, celebration of life. That's like Irish tailgating. Sean's dead. So's Pat. It's a party. And my mother was very much in that vein as well. And yeah, it was a small town, a lot of farming. It was a farming community, German farmers, Belgian farmers for the most part. So we stood out as Irish Catholic. But we were the boycott. We're the Liam Neeson Irish. We weren't the damn Irish Spring, I like it too, or Lucky Charms. No. We were hardcore. We were badass Irish. We really were. So was my mother. My mother had some wonderful lines that she would turn to all the time. She would say things like, well, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Okay, yes, we all like that one. Conduct yourself with the proper decorum. And I'm thinking, Mom, I'm 6. You're dropping decorum on me? Offer it up for the souls in purgatory. I still do. I'm kind of a professional Catholic. I still don't understand offered up for this. Apparently, suffering that we go through here, we can forward ahead to the souls in purgatory. It's kind of like a hotel rewards points thing, I can send 20,000 points to the purgatory Doubletree or something. I still don't get it, but in bad times, she would say offered up for the souls in purgatory. Yeah, that was Mom. But back to the year, it was the best time. It was wonderful. Things were finally falling into place for me. I tried for years to play baseball. I was no damn good at it, but finally, freshman year of high school, I figured out how to hit a baseball hard and frequently. Then, oh my God, I discovered the theater. I'm still on stage to this day, but I was a freshman and I got cast as the lead in the senior class play. I was this troubled young lad in a production called Oh Dad, Poor Dad. And yeah, very obscure reference, but it was a wonderful year, except for one thing. I was the last among my peers to go through the maturity process, shall we say. I'm pushing 15. I've got a driver's permit, and I still got braces on my teeth and freckles, no facial hair. I'm giggling like a girl. I'm just thinking someday, some way, it's got to arrive. I was like some sort of anatomical good, waiting for Godot, hoping desperately for some growth in the private sector. It was like I was a combination of Beaver Cleaver and Samuel Beckett. Another one about 4 of you will get. That's okay, but I was waiting for it to happen. Oh, and this happened a few years ago. I heard an interview on IPR, and it was with Eric Idle, a member of Monty Python's Flying Circus. Loved Monty Python, real influence on me as a young yuckmeister, but I loved Monty Python. And he said he always admired the British actor Peter Sellers, and that he finally had a chance to meet Peter Sellers. And he's so overcome. And he goes up and he starts, talking to Mr. Sellers. You've been such an influence on me. And of course, I'm in this group called Monty Python's Flying Circus. And Peter Sellers said to him, so how old were you when your mother died? And Eric Idle is like, what? How in the world did you know that my mother died when I was young? And Peter Sellers says, oh, every comedian's got at least one dead parent. So I guess by that definition and calculation, I became a comedian on the 11th of June of 1966. My mom had, put up a good fight, had been ill for several years, and it was kind of like people talked about how did this occur. And over the years I was reminded there was a character in a Hemingway story who went completely broke, and they asked him, how did you go broke? And he said, well, gradually and then suddenly. And I think many of us know that that's kind of how cancer works, gradually and suddenly. And it was only years later in retrospect that I come to find out that, I was my mother's caretaker. And I finally, as a young adult, realized, not every kid takes care of his mother and gives her hypodermic needle shots and things like that. It was only years later that one gets enough perspective on things to understand that was a little odd. But I got to tell you about my dad, too. My dad was a wonderful man, small town school superintendent, educator, a wonderful guy. And he was very much involved in the teachers' union, that group of people, them. He was big in the State Education Association, National Education Association. He took me with him to a convention in San Francisco in the summer of 1970. Exactly. Either I had the coolest dad in the world or I belonged in foster care. He was in meetings all day. He turns me, this kid from Hooterville, turns me loose in San Francisco. I go to Haight-Ashbury. I go to Giants games. I ride cable cars. Angela Davis is on trial. The Black Panthers are feeding kids in Oakland. The Zodiac Killer is at large. Nowadays, kids can't go to Hawkeye Downs without a cell phone in their back pocket. I was turned loose into this madness, and it was fantastic. Then we come back from San Francisco, and he somehow arranged enough money to set aside some time for me to go to a sports camp at the University of Notre Dame, the school he always wanted to go to. He ended up going to St. Thomas in the Twin Cities. Pretty cool school after all. But it wasn't Notre Dame. But he sent me there for a week. Notre Dame, Our Lady. The school's name, Notre Dame du Lac, Our Lady of the Lake. And yes, home of the fighting Irish, by the Christ, we were there. True. And there I was. And it was wonderful to be there. I would later go to school there. It's now my alma mater, Notre Dame. And I was there, 1970, sports camp in Breen Phillips Hall. And there's a clock radio in the room. I was rooming with a kid named Casey from south side of Chicago. And this song comes on the radio. And this is only in the last 3 or 4 years I even put this together. I'm kind of slow on the uptake. But I'm there, 15 years old, greatest year of my life. On the radio, here comes a voice, a woman, a mother, singing to her kid, her son. Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Someday, we'll get it together and we'll get it undone. Someday when your heart feels lighter. Amazing. Listen, I gotta tell you, grief and grace, they travel together. They're like Pancho and Lefty. They're like Batman and Robin. In the midst of the grief, the grace arrives, and sometimes it arrives on the big 89 WLS in Chicago, the 5 stair steps, and ooh, child. Thanks.
Tim Boyle. Whew. I would say that following Tim would be one of the most difficult jobs to do. But I have a full heart and right now empty pockets. Our next storyteller is Zette St. Charles, a local storyteller and one of my very dear friends. She's got a story about a pocket here that'll make you think. Please welcome Zette St. Charles.
Excuse me, but a familiar pocket? A couple of years ago, some tall, dark, and handsome guy was micing me, and he had this look on his face, and he said, a familiar pocket. Really? I'm thinking, I don't even know this guy. He's familiar with my pocket? It's not possible. And then I start thinking, well, maybe one of those margarita nights with Holly, where I kind of forget a little bit of things, but then her husband takes pictures of it, and he wasn't in any of those pictures, so he wasn't there. But the look on his face now has me thinking of pockets. And I start thinking, you know, like denim pockets. The denim pockets, you push your change all the way down in, and then you have this little secret pocket at the top. Well, I used to fold 10s, 20s, 5s up in that pocket, fold my jeans away, and then that was my treasure when I was having an emergency to find that. Or maybe the pockets of nice leather pants, you know, those pockets, they feel like a baby's bottom, and it's only open this much because those pockets really aren't for anything but possibilities and directions for possibilities. But what about the pockets of a cotton sundress? You know, you're outside on a summer's day, it's white and you're swaying to your favorite jazz band, and you're cute. Who cares that you spilled half your wine in front of your dress? And it's white, so it doesn't show. But familiar pocket, huh? I start thinking, why is this guy talking about my pocket being familiar to him? Maybe he had pocket thoughts of past lives. Maybe he was a professional pocket reviewer. And how did he get that job? Be it that or whatever it be, he was not in my pocket, okay? Just to make it clear, but he was finding out how to exit my pocket. Thank you.
You have had the pleasure of hearing the lovely Zette St. Charles. Just so you know, tall, dark, and handsome, that wasn't me inspecting that pocket. This is how scandals start. Following our next storyteller, we will take a 10-minute intermission. Stephanie Rogers is the CEO of Story Jam. She's the queen of all that she surveys. She's magnificent in her munificence. Stephanie is a Chicago storyteller. You'll hear some of her Chicago stories. Of boys and men, Stephanie Rogers. Stephanie Rogers.
Hello, Cedar Rapids! Woo! I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Corey. Queen of all she surveys. Really? I'm 7 years old. and we're having dinner in the dining room today. I know this must be a special occasion because we usually have dinner in the den, and it's usually a TV dinner. And today, Mommy has made a big fancy meal: steak, peas, and rice. Everybody's very quiet. I don't know why we're all so quiet. Me, my sister, my mother, my father. I'm at a big girl table now, so I have to eat like a big girl. So I take the big girl fork and I put it next to the rice, but I can't get the rice onto the fork. So I use my other hand to push the rice on to help it. And then I take a bite. Silence. And then I do it again. I know I'm not doing anything wrong. My father has a terrible temper. If I say the wrong thing, he will yell. I haven't said anything wrong. I'm just eating my dinner. My throat tightens. My father is watching me push the rice onto the fork. I look up at him, and he stands up. And he says, "You rude, unmannered child, don't you know how to eat? Use a fork, not your fingers." I'm 7 years old, and all I know is I am terrified of my father. Hi, Miss Stephanie. My name is Theo, and I'm 4.75 years old. I see that you have 3 4-year-olds and 4 5-year-olds in our class. What are we going to be doing today? I love dolphins and I love dogs. I've just met Theo. I'm a preschool teacher, and I need this job at the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago because it's my Saturday gig, because my weekly preschool teaching job does not pay me enough for my theater habit at night. Theo. I've never met anybody like Theo in my few years of teaching preschool. He's special, he's magical. He's a little different, and I have such a warm, big heart for this kid because I know that Theo is not going to have it easy in life. He's probably going to be an outsider. He's probably not going to make it in normal kids' school. He might get picked on. He might get bullied. And I know what it's like to be picked on and bullied. I love Theo because Theo is an underdog. It's March 2024. And there must be a blue moon outside because I am checking my LinkedIn. Artsy people do not go on LinkedIn. We go on Instagram or Facebook. LinkedIn is for like people who are, business people, like suits, normal people who have business plans and go to business school. I'm on my LinkedIn and I see that I have a message from somebody named Rich. Rich, who ruined my life 30 years ago. Why the hell is Rich reaching out to me on Facebook? When do rocker swagger guys with long hair and earrings and leather jackets go on LinkedIn anyway? I open the message and it says, "Hey, was passing through Chicago, thought of you. That never happens, WTF." I'm like, there he is again. So I write back, "Are you dying?" And he writes back pretty immediately, "You're still funny." And this launches us into like a 3-day conversation where we start sharing our lives and sharing pictures of our families. Where do you live? How many kids do you have? What have you been doing these last 30 years? And suddenly it's like we're friends again and we totally forgot all the horrible stuff that happened 30 years ago. And this guy who ruined my life, I'm actually starting to warm up to him a little bit again. It took me 10 years to get over him. He had a violent streak. He had a swagger. He was a rocker. And I was smitten by him. It's January 1994. And I'm singing at the Charleston in Chicago. The Charleston is a little bar, and it's an open mic night. And I'm here because of cancer. 2 days ago, I was in Evanston Hospital getting thyroid cancer removed from my throat. My throat that was always so tight and shut down. They took out the cancer, and I told my friend Andrew when I was in the hospital that all I wanted to do was sing. I don't care where, I don't care when. I have a guitar, I just want to sing. So I go to the Charleston for the open mic. And the thing is, just yesterday, I was at home at my parents' house, visiting from Los Angeles, reading The Reader, which is an arts and culture publication. Anybody familiar? In the back of The Reader, there are some classifieds ads. And I was reading the classifieds ads. Now, it's not that cool to put out a classifieds ad to meet somebody. If you want to meet somebody, usually you just go do it through friends, or you go to a bar or something like that. But I'm reading the classifieds ads, and there's this one ad of a man seeking a woman, and it is poetry. It mentions fair-haired woman with an effervescent smile. And I am just smitten by this ad. I just love this person, whoever this is. But I'm thinking, wow, these people must be so lonely. How lonely and sad that they're putting an ad out in a newspaper so that they can meet people. But I say, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna call. So I pick up the phone and I dial the number and I say, hey, my name is Steph and I'll be singing at the Charleston tomorrow night. Hope to see you there. So I'm at the Charleston, and it's packed. There are people everywhere. January 1994. Everybody in Chicago is at the Charleston. It's a Wednesday night, and I'm up there singing my song, having the time of my life, having just had cancer removed from my body, and in walks this guy, this long-haired, dark-haired, swaggery rock and roll dude. And I'm thinking, oh, no, not this again, not this again. I had just gotten over that other guy, Rich. Not another Rich, not for me, no thank you. And besides, I don't go for, good-looking guys. You know that's trouble. Sorry, Corey. In he walks. I'm singing a song, and it's like he's lit from behind, and it's like he's there just to meet me. And he's smiling at me, he's beaming at me. And I'm like, oh my God, is this the personals ad guy, the poet who wrote that beautiful classified ad? It can't be, that can't be. No way would he be that good looking, that confident, swagger. And I finish my set, and I go to the bar and talk to my friends, and they're like, let's go, it's 12:30 in the morning, we got jobs. And I'm like, well, I don't have a job, I can hang out all night. Oh, but I was driving, so I have to get them home. But the swaggery guy, the classifieds ad guy, he's at the other end of the bar, and he starts walking toward me. Saunter, cool. And I'm like, all right, mister, what you got? What's your fancy pickup line? What are you gonna say? And he gets right to me, about 2 feet away from me, and he looks right at me. And then his eyes go really big, and he can't think of anything to say. And he starts looking at the ground and shuffling his feet and getting all awkward and weird. And I'm like, ooh, now you're interesting. Oh, you're not just a swagger cool. And he says, I would love to chat with you and continue this conversation another time. And I'm like, wow, classy. We date for 2 whole weeks, and we don't even mention the classifieds ad because we're so embarrassed about it. I'm just thinking, I don't want to mention it. He doesn't want to mention it, but he keeps referencing it, like your effervescent smile, he'll say, or something like that. And I'll just think, okay, we're just not talking about it. But then I think, wait a minute, what if this isn't the classifieds guy? So I have my friend Avril call the classifieds guy. We look up the number, and she calls him up, and she says, are you John? Is this John? Have you been dating my friend Steffi for 2 whole weeks and not even mentioning the classifieds ad? And within 30 minutes, she gets a call. And it's the classifieds guy. And he says, hey, I was at the Charleston. I saw your girl singing. I saw her talking to another guy. So I left. And by the way, I was writing that little classifieds because I'm in grad school for writing, and I wanted to see if my writing was good enough to attract women, and yes, it was. So now I had to go back to my new boyfriend and say, listen, this is gonna sound really weird, but I thought you were a poet, and apparently you're not, but if you can, would you please write me a poem just to prove that you at least have some writing skills? And he says, sure. It's December of 2020, COVID. And I see the phone ringing. It's my friend Jay. Wow, Jay. Jay was like sex and sun and fun and swagger, of course. And I'm wondering, why the hell is Jay calling me? His wife hates me. She knows too much. I pick up the phone and he says, hey, Steph, I just want you to know my brother has been killed. I'm heartbroken, and all I can do is think about you because you're a real friend to me. And I've been listening to your podcast, and I've been listening to your voice, and it's been so soothing. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, and I'm so sorry about your brother. And we talk, and we start sending each other text messages. And I'm thinking, is this appropriate? He tells me how much he misses me, and I say, yeah, me too. On his way back from Las Vegas visiting his mother to Brooklyn where he lives, he stops by in Chicago. And we get all our high school friends together at my house, and we're sitting around the fire and we're talking and we're all reminiscing and we're crying and we're laughing and we're sharing our time together. And I know John is having trouble in his marriage. And I know he's reaching out to me because I'm a familiar person. He says to me, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be married forever. And I said, yeah, me too. But at the end of the night, we both look at each other and we just know marriage has its ups and downs. Some days you think you're going to make it, some days you don't. We both know we're going to go back to our respective spouses and we're going to be okay. And just as he's leaving, he comes straight up to me and he whispers in my ear, you know, Steffi, I've always loved you. And I say, me too. One more. No, two more. Two quickies. It's August of 2019, and we are driving through Bucktown. We're trying to find it. What street was it on? What street was it on? And we're telling my son the same story over and over and over again. And he's so sick of it. But now we're telling him something new. And we're taking him to the place where it all began, the Charleston. And guess what? It's still there. The Charleston, the bar where my husband and I met each other. Now it's 30 years later. It's 25 years later, and our son is grown. And he says, why do you guys always talk about the Charleston? I know, Mom was singing, Dad walked in, you thought he was the personal dad, but he wasn't, everything worked out, you made him write a poem, blah, blah, blah. And I say, Charlie, you owe me a thank you, because I wanted to name you Charleston. And he said, why didn't you name me Charleston? I said, well, because nobody would let me name you Charleston. Your name is Charles. And he says, thank you, Mom. It's August 2025, and I'm sitting with my mom and my dad. My mom, 84, my dad, 89, at dinner, and we're eating veggie fried rice. My dad's a little shaky. He's got Parkinson's now. And I help him steady his plate, and I help him put the rice on the plate and all the food, and I sit down next to him to help him. And he looks up at me with his one big watery eye, his aging eye, and he says, "Thank you, Steffi. You're such a good daughter." And my throat tightens up just a little bit. Not because of fear, not because of anger, but because I see him, the big man who used to scare me so much, who led me to be with other men who weren't great for me. That man is my dad. He's a teddy bear, and I love him. Thank you.
That was Stephanie Rogers, all the way from Wilmette, Illinois. We are going to take ourselves a 10-minute break. I will see you back at 3:21. 3:21, 10 minutes, bathroom break, snacks.
Snacks? Did you say snacks?
I said snacks. It's a lot, Mark. I'm working really hard to get people to clap. If you can hear my voice, please clap your hands. All right. For those folks who aren't back, I'm sorry.
You're missing out.
It's 3:22, and I've given you an extra minute. You're welcome. I am generous beyond measure. If you didn't know already, I am a humanitarian. This is the second part of our show, which means I get to pass the baton on to this handsome rascal right here, Mark Latta. Mark.
I guess we're not meant to be together, Stephanie. I tried. Thank you. Yes, if you're looking for a hot date with a Janine, you let me know. I'm your guy. I am so excited to have everybody back for the second half. We've got an amazing list of storytellers that'll be coming up here. I want to make sure that everybody remembers how to pay our storytellers, and that is in applause. So we're gonna practice a little bit. All right? We're gonna try this. Let's start easy. Golf clap. Oh, yes. Oh, very good, very good. You sank that putt. Nice job. School recital. Yeah, that's nice, huh? Yay, school recitals. Your team just scored a touchdown. That's right, we don't love our kids, we love the teams. Yes, that's right. You won the lottery. If you give our storytellers that kind of applause, you will not hear a bad storyteller tonight. Speaking of not hearing a bad storyteller, we have a great lineup for the second half. To kick it off, we have one of our members of TellersBridge. I've known this man for, 25 years. It has got to be 25 years. The thing I find amazing is the years go by, but he never gets any older. Of course, I'm talking about Jamie F., and the F is for freaking Ward. Please help me welcome Jamie Ward.
Keeps thinking I'm taller than he is, and we're the same height. So, it's 20 feet up in the air. It's undulating, glistening in the sun and rolling, and I am the happiest little boy on earth. Let me tell you how I got here. I'm the son of the daughter of the Depression, and therefore we had a garden. And when you have a garden, the garden means everything. That means food for the winter. It means food in your dinner plate. Everything. There was food. It was from that garden. And you always set the garden up in the same way. The tall things on the south, so you got corn and then okra and then snap peas and green beans and tomatoes. And then back there you got carrots and radish and lettuce. And Mom had 2 boys. And she had 2 tasks that needed to be done in the garden. One, you had to get a hoe and you had to go and knock all the weeds down. Now, for those of you inexperienced, you scrape in order to knock the weeds down, and then you chop in order to break up the soil. The other task was to water all the tomato plants and all the green beans and all. And my mom was not about to use that city slicker water with the garden hose coming down. No, that wasn't going to happen. Not when the road was there, the house was here, the garden was here, and the creek ran the entire length of our backyard. In the creek, there was this very large stone, big enough that you could climb up on top of. And that meant that right below the stone, the water would gather. It would make a nice pool. Now, if you're thinking creek, this is the kind that you get across in 1-2 steps and you were across. So right where that stone was at, it made a nice deep place you could dip a bucket of water into, and then you set the bucket up on the bank, and you dip another bucket, and you scramble up on the bank, and then you lug the water over and you water the plants. There was me and my older brother. So guess which one got to play in the creek with the buckets of water, and guess which one had the hoe and was going and knocking down weeds. Now I'm among the tomato plants and I'm knocking weeds down, I'm moving along, and I look and I see something down there in the foliage. It's way down in there, and I kind of look and I look and I look, and I realize there's a tomato. But it's not just a tomato, this is a tomato. And it started out as 2 little blossoms, and then they bloomed and they were next to each other and they formed a double. This is a double tomato. And as they grew, they went green, they went yellow and orange, and they got some heft behind them, and they sank down and down and down the foliage, and they went and touched the ground, and hidden behind everything, they grew orange and red, and then it turned from red to kind of a pastel red, and then the skin got really thin and translucent, and you'd look inside and you could see little worms that were swimming around in it, and it went from red to these brownish colors. And I reached down in there and I pull this thing out, and I've got this gelatinous thing in my hand, and it's bigger than I can hold on to, and what's a little boy gonna do? What's a little boy gonna do? There's that big rock in the creek. Everything in the creek got thrown at the big rock. And I take this thing and I rock it back and forth, and I'm thinking, the Apollo, the Gemini, the Mercury, they have launched all these things, and I'm about to launch this, and I knew it was going to blow up on this launch pad. It was just going to explode when I tried to let go of it, but I get it, and it's up in the air, and it's tumbling gently, and I see it, it's on path, and it's at its apex, it's on the right trajectory. Words, I don't know what they mean, but I hear them say from the astronauts, and I'm looking at it, and I'm so happy. And as I look to see the big rock it's going to hit, my brother's head pops up out of the creek. And there's this thing in your brain back here, and it does do I run towards him and try and warn him away? Do I try and yell, duck? Do I turn and flee? And I took a long time thinking about it, but my feet did not, and away my feet went, and I ran the length of the corn and then ran to the house, because knowing that if I touched the house, just touched the house, somehow I'd be magically saved. I would not die if only I could touch the house. And I turn over my shoulder and my brother comes through the corn. And I feel like an antelope in the Serengeti, and I'm running, and he comes, he tackles me like a lion, and he's got me pinned down the ground. I'm looking straight up at him, and he's seething, and he grabs my arm and he rips it clean off, and he beats me completely to death, and he sticks my arm back on so he can rip it off again and beat me to death again, and I am saying nothing. I'm not crying for help. I'm not asking forgiveness. I'm not praying to God. My lips are sealed. Because when I'm looking up, I see his face and this goo sliming down his face off his nose and chin. And he's right above me. If I open my mouth, it's going to leak inside, and I'm having none of that. And I figure, okay, I'm going to die. It was a good life. And then God herself spoke. For I hadn't made it to the house, but I made it in sight of the kitchen window. And this voice says, boys, why don't you clean up and come in for lunch? And my brother says, you haven't seen the end of this. Many, many years go by. Mom, table, banquet. My brother's at the far end. I'm at this end. And here's a plate of Mom's red, golden, delicious, sliced up, all on the platter, perfectly arranged. And my niece sitting next to her, my brother, pipes up and says, Uncle Jamie, pass Dad the tomatoes.
There you go. Oh, man. All right, there. Perfect. Corey, you're tall. I don't know if you knew this or not. All right, perfect. Is that the way to start or what? Right? I'm so excited about our next storyteller. I've known her for maybe not quite as long as I've known Jamie, but I'm very privileged to call her a good friend and an amazing storyteller. Please help me welcome, with check yes or no, Sherry Sullivan.
I'm 5 years old. I'm in kindergarten. I have on my pink and black checkered shirt, the collar's all pressed down. I have on my matching pink and black checkered shorts that my grandma made me. My hair is in braids, and I have matching ribbons at the bottom of my braids. I'm at a table with 5 other kindergartners, and we're coloring. I'm following the rules and staying inside the lines like every good kindergartner should do. There's a piece of paper that all of a sudden shows up beside me. It's folded in half and has my name in big block letters on the outside. Do you like me? Check yes or no. And there's little boxes beside the words yes or no. From Harry. I pull out my favorite green crayon, I check yes, I fold that paper back in half, I cross off Sherry, I write Harry in big block letters, and I pass it back. 2 days later, We're at the exact same table with the exact same kindergartners. We're coloring again. There's another piece of paper that just magically shows up beside me. It's folded in half. It has my name in big block letters. Do you want to meet me at the tires at recess and kiss on the lips? From Harry. I pull out my favorite green crayon, I check yes, I fold it back in half, I cross off Harry, I write Sherry, and I pass it back. We did meet at the tire swings at recess. We did kiss on the lips. And that was so much fun. We decided to invite all of our fellow classmates to watch. Harry and I gathered up a whole bunch of pieces of paper. We wrote on the inside, do you want to see Harry and Sherry kiss at the tires at recess? Check yes or no. From Harry and Sherry. We folded each paper in half. We wrote each one of our classmates' names on the outside of them in big block letters, and we passed them out. When we passed them out, we said to each one of our classmates, don't forget to come. That, my friends, was our fatal flaw. Harry and I had forgotten we were the only two in kindergarten that knew how to read. Sarah and Michelle took their invites to Mrs. Mitchell. Our parents were called. There were no more meetings for Harry and Sherry at the tires at recess. I could tell you that was the end of my scandalous note writing career. Maybe not. Mark.
Give it up for Sherry Sullivan. There we go. Our next storyteller, we've had him on our TellersBridge stage, but he's not by trade a storytelling guy. He's a theater guy. But somehow we've brought him along. We've corrupted him to become a storyteller. I'm so excited about his story tonight. It's Justice for Jordan, and of course I'm talking about Will Wims. Please help me welcome Will.
Thank you, sir. It's 11:45 at night, and the phone is ringing. Damn. I reach over, and I pick it up, and I look. Double damn. It's the tornado. Now, that is the nickname that I have given my daughter, because she blows into my life, turns my world upside down, and then blows out. This can't be good. Hello? Dad, do you know where Jordan is? Yes, my son is probably at his house in bed, asleep where I was. Well, you're wrong. He's at the Lynn County Jail. How do you know this? Because I called. You called. I did. I said, do you have Jordan Wims there? And they said, yes, we do. Can I have him back? And they said, do you have $5,000? And I said, no. And they said, you can't have him back. And you called me because you want me $5,000? I don't think so. Well, you got to do something, Dad. It's Jordan. All right. Let me figure this out. I will call you later today now. So I find my phone, or I have it, and I'm trying to find the Lynn County Jail number, because I don't have it on speed dial. It's not like, hey, how you doing? Got anybody I know? And I find it, and I call them up, and I say, do you have a fellow by the name of Jordan Wims at your facility? And they say, yes, we do. And I said, well, I've never done this before. What's the procedure? He's going to be arraigned at 8 o'clock tomorrow. You can come down to the arraignment. On a Sunday? Well, yes, we arraign on Sundays too. Well, where do I go? Well, just go to the courthouse and they'll show you where the room is and you can sit and watch the arraignment. Okay, thank you. By now, my wife is awake. Yay. Would you like to go with me down to the courthouse for Jordan's arraignment? Yeah, okay. She goes back to sleep. I don't even think she knows what she agreed to. So we get down to the courthouse just before 8 because it's Sunday morning. When we walk into the arraignment room, and it's a room full of chairs and full of people, and it's like church. If you don't get there early, you have to sit up in the front row. And the judge's bench is like a stone's throw away, so I'm like, okay, we're right up in the front row. And we're waiting, and there's this whole room full of people, and pretty soon the judge comes in and sits on the bench, and there's a monitor on the wall. The judge calls the first case, and the monitor comes to life, and a person comes and sits in the chair on the monitor. Oh, it's by television. Cool. And the judge reads the charges. The person said, yeah, I did that. And the judge levies the fine. Yeah, okay. Bangs his gavel. The person gets up and goes away from the monitor. And then pretty soon 2 people get up and they leave the room. So this is an arraignment. So the judge does this again. He calls a number. Person comes up, sits down. This is the charges. This is the fine. Okay, thank you, goodbye. And the people leave. This goes on for 45 minutes. And people are leaving and leaving. And pretty soon, my wife and I are there. Nobody else. And he calls the case, and I look up, my son. I'm so proud. He's on the monitor. And the judge reads the charge, and it's not DUI. I can't really, what? And the judge reads the fine, how much it is, and And Jordan agrees and does everything he's supposed to. Yes, sir. And then the judge says, you can see your parents here, right? Jordan says, yes. You can see that they're concerned, can't you? Yes. Maybe you should think about your actions. You realize that your actions don't always just affect you. They may affect people you love and people you care about. So maybe this is a good lesson for you to learn. And he goes, yes, Your Honor. Okay. And he bangs his gavel and he leaves. Jordan leaves. And my wife look at each other and we go, oh. So we get up to leave and pretty soon the judge is behind us and he goes, Jordan's a good kid. He's just made some mistakes, but he's a good kid. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And we go out in between the courthouse and the jail, and we're waiting, and pretty soon here he comes. And he looks like he's been pulled through a knothole. I said, did you have a bad night? He says, yes, I didn't sleep. I said, neither did I. I said, explain to me the charges. They're not DUI. No, he charged me with hitting items not on roadway. That's a real charge? That's like real. Like, yeah, okay, more information would be good. Well, I was coming home from the bar, no kidding. And I ended up in somebody's backyard, and I hit a picket fence. Okay. Well, that kind of startled me awake. So I threw it in reverse, and I slammed on the gas, and I backed up, and I hit a tree. Oh, good, both ends. Well, the tree kind of made my truck's bed fold in half. Well, I got out of my truck, and I walked home and went to bed. And the people got up the next morning and called the police because there's a strange truck in their side yard that's all beat to hell and a tree that's not feeling too good either. So they came and arrested me for hitting items not on roadway. Good. I'm so glad, because you didn't hurt anyone except your truck and your pocketbook. So this is going to cost you quite a bit of money, isn't it? Yes, this is going to cost me a lot. And you don't have a pickup anymore, do you? No, and I got to get another truck or a car or whatever I can afford. I'm going to write this down in my book. This is going to be called Justice for Jordan. And I'm going to remind you every time you take too many drinks. We learned a lesson. Thank you.
I am so excited. We are going to go from a rainy Sunday. Is that a good enough dad joke for you? A rainy? Okay. And here, I always heard it, if I had to explain it, it wasn't funny. Although I didn't hear anybody laughing either. So there is that. We go from one troublemaker to another. And it's not often that you get to reciprocate a kindness. So today, I get to reciprocate a kindness and introduce our next speaker. He's a tall man with a short name. You may have heard of him, Corey May, and he's going to tell us about getting kicked out of science class. Please help me welcome Corey May.
I'm smiling. I am smiling because it makes sense. I get it. And then I hear, Mr. May, pack up your belongings and go to the principal's office. But this doesn't make any sense to me because the science makes sense. I understand the language. I understand the formulas. I understand all of it. And then I hear it again. Mr. May, pack up your belongings and go to the principal's office. It's 8th grade science, and I do what a teenage boy does because our brains aren't fully developed. I run through a checklist. All 4 legs of the chair on the floor. Good. Kept my hands and feet to myself. Check. Nothing sarcastic through the entire period. Difficult, but check. And I realize he's serious. So I pack up my belongings and go to the principal's office. Now, I've only been to the principal's office for official business, but I know one thing. I know one thing for sure because I've watched all the TV shows, all the cop shows. I'm entitled to one phone call. And as I get to the principal's office and the rotary phone stares at me like an ugly squat toad, I pick it up and I dial. Mom? I got kicked out of science class. And my mother asks, what did you do? Nothing. Now, if it's the first time you said it or the 99th time you said it, your parents don't believe you. And then Mom says the most chilling, terrifying words ever. We'll talk about it when you get home. I hang up the phone and there is an ice ball in my gut. I can't focus on anything on the bus ride home. Every speed bump and pothole just jars me. Now, let me tell you a few things about my mother. My mother is about 5'7", and she's about as big around as this microphone stand, but My mother is tough. My mother is tougher than a $2 steak at a roadside diner on Interstate 80. My mama is tough. We live on a hill in Iowa City. It's a 45-degree angle hill, and our driveway is another 45-degree angle. There is a rule in our house that if you get home before the teacher calls, you might have a fair hearing. I'm praying that the bus goes faster. I get off, I cross Benton Street, and I run. I run at top speed up the hill and onto the driveway, and Mom's white pickup truck is in the driveway. I put my key in the garage door and I turn it, and I run inside. I open up the door just to see my mom's hand put the phone down. This isn't good. Corey, what did you do? Mom, I told you nothing. I didn't do anything. Now, the second time you tell your mom, or the 99th time, they still don't believe you. She says, Corey, go on up to your room, do your homework. I will call you as soon as dinner's ready. Don't bother me until I get done. So I go up there. It's terrible. I know I haven't done anything wrong. I know this. But 2 years before, when I was in 6th grade, it was the toughest year of my life. An elementary school classmate dies in a farm accident. Dad dies of cancer of the liver and the colon. And my 6th grade teacher commits suicide. Now, Mom has gone from being a stay-at-home mom to being the breadwinner of our family. She's going to school in food service management. She's raising 2 kids in their teens. She's doing it all by herself. And to call her out from work is taking money out of her pocket and causing her stress. And I feel badly about it. She calls me down. Dinner is cold. Everything is cold. Conversation, the atmosphere, the food, everything is cold. Corey, we have an appointment at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Go to your room. Now, that ice bowl never really melted, and it's there. I sleep on it. That's not comfortable. I eat breakfast with it. That's not comfortable. I take a bus ride with it. It's terrible. Finally, 11 o'clock rolls around. And there's my mom in her food service uniform, starched white, with creases that could cut human flesh. She has one centrally placed, very tightly braided French braid on her head. She is a picture of efficiency and form. The only nod to fashion is a pair of mirrored aviator sunglasses. Ray-Ban, of course. She is cool. She walks down the hallway. She sees me, gives me a perfunctory nod. And then it's time for the interview with the science teacher. Mom and I sit down on this side, the science teacher's on the other side, and Mom says nothing. The silence is deafening. We learn in science class that nature abhors a vacuum, so the teacher rushes in and starts talking. My mother raises a small hand and says, "Stop." Was Corey disruptive? No. Does he have any outstanding homework? No. How are his grades? Great. 94. How about his tests? 96. My mother says, "So why are we here?" And then the teacher says this. Corey was smiling in my class. My mother looks askance. What? And it's at this moment that she removes her sunglasses and places them down like this with the mirrors facing her. Please say that again. Corey was smiling in class. And when he's smiling, I don't trust him. My mom fixes him in a gaze like an apex predator looking at soft prey, soft, slow-moving prey, soft, delectable, slow-moving prey, soft, delectable, slow-moving prey that has no idea what's about to happen. You called my son out for smiling? Yes, I don't trust him. You called me off of work for this? Yes, I don't trust him. If you ever do something as stupid as this and call me off of work because my son is smiling, I will take this as far and as high as I have to. Do I make myself clear? The temperature in the room drops. He knows he's prey. My mother smiles, and she says 2 words. Let's go. She picks up her aviators and puts them on, and I walk in her wake, in the wake of a very powerful woman. Small me, Mom. I can feel the science teacher's eyes boring into the side of my head. His face is red. He is apoplectic, but he knows he can't do anything. I look over my shoulder, catch his eye. And I smile. Mark.
Give it up for Corey May. So pretty good show. I think that was a great show, don't you?
I think we're bringing it in under budget and on time.
That's where we're going. I mean, I know these people they came to hear a lot of good storytellers. We've heard a lot of great storytellers, Corey. I mean, these guys are probably ready to go home.
I think they're ready to go home. But wait. Might you have one more story left in you?
Yeah?
I can't hear you. Sorry, my miracle ear is failing.
Yeah.
That was kind of anemic clapping. And remember, we have to pay every single one of our storytellers in the currency of applause. I need you to put your hands together because we have got one more storyteller left. One more?
Okay.
This guy hails from Guatemala and has gone to Chicago. He has won 83 Moth Story Slams, which is a monumental accomplishment. People who know him call him the boss. I'm speaking about the one and only Nestor Gomez. Please put your hands together for my good friend, Nestor the Boss Gomez. He's gonna take us on out with Home.
Bring it home.
Ness. Just for you.
I was gonna give his one. It's too high, but sorry. There you go. Normal size now.
Fun size.
My mother came to this country with nothing but the clothes that she was wearing, and that determination that somehow, 'cause. 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 ' So after years of working 3, 4 different jobs and never giving me an allowance, my mother bought her own freaking house. But when I say that she bought her house, I don't mean that she went to an architect and she told that person how she wanted her house to be built with a swimming pool here, with a tennis court there, with extra bedrooms and washrooms. No. My mother bought an old house in Chicago that she could barely afford, a house that needed so many things to get fixed. So, of course, the very first thing she did as soon as she bought her house was to call me, her oldest son, to come and install a washer and a dryer in her house. I had never installed a washer or a dryer in anybody's houses. But I wasn't about to tell my mother no, because even at this age, she would take out her chancla and she would hit me for saying no to her. So I went to her home, and somehow I managed to install the washer. I managed to also install the dryer. But now I needed to put the duct into the hole on the wall so the heat will go out from the dryer. And I'm looking all over the house and there's not a hole in the wall. So I had to make the hole in the wall. I take my drill and I start to make a hole. And then my hammer to make it bigger, and the hammer, and there's a little cable that falls right in the middle where I'm working, and I take a little bit piece of tape, and I tape the cable, and I keep making the hole bigger, and the cable falls again, and I tape the cable again, and I make the hole bigger with my drill and with my hammer, and the cable falls again, so I grab my pliers, and I cut the cable in half. And I make the hole with the drill and the hammer, and I make it big enough, and I put the dog in it, and I call my mom, and I tell her, look, I installed the washer, I installed the dryer, I saved you like $300. And I go to my own house, and the next day, I hear that the little cable that I cut was probably the cable for the phone line. Remember those? Because my mom has no phone service and she had to call a company and she paid $500 to get it fixed. I never told my mother that I was the one to call the cable, because if I tell her, she would take the chancla and hit me. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I have been cut, burned, electrocuted, fixing the many things that break at my mother's house. One time she called me because now she's living on the second floor and the light for the washroom is broken, so I have to go into her attic space and crawl to the space where the washroom is, and I managed to get electrocuted and change the light fixture. And I'm getting out of that crawl space after fixing the light. I'm crawling and I step on the drywall. I almost fell. And I grab onto the heating vent and I pull myself up. And then I crawl out of the crawl space and I look at the big hole in the ceiling. And maybe I could tell my mother that that's a skylight. But maybe I better go to Home Depot and get some drywall and learn how to fix it. So that's what I do. And a few months later, she calls me because the furnace is not working. Every winter is the same thing. The pilot goes out, and I had to go and crawl in the crawl space and light up the pilot. So I go there, and I go into the crawl space, and I go all the way on the back of the crawl space, and I try to light up the pilot, and it's not working. I check to see if the electrical is on, and it is on. I see if the gas is working. If it's on, it's on. I try to light it, and it's not working. And I'm thinking maybe when I hung out from the dog, maybe I broke something, and I look at the dogs, and they are all fine, and I don't know what's wrong. So I got out of the crawl space, and I told my mom, I don't know, it's not working. And usually the pilot, but it's not working. And my mom is like, come on, I don't want to pay a lot of money to fix it. So I'm like, okay, let me check one more thing. So I go to the wall and I check the thermostat, and I don't know how the thermostat looks, but it looks like it's working fine. But I take out the little screws for the thermostat and I take it out of the wall and I look at the cables to see if they are fine, and they seem to be fine. I put it back on the wall and I tell my mom, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to fix it. And my mom gets so sad, and she tells me, a couple of weeks ago, the roof was leaking, and I told you to come and fix it, and you didn't want to fix it. I'm like, Mom, I don't know how to fix the roof. That takes a whole bunch of people to get it fixed. I don't know how to fix it. I tried to fix it, and I couldn't fix it. She's like, I know. I had to call a company and pay a lot of money, and after they fixed the roof, the furnace stopped working. I say, what? After they fixed the roof, the furnace stopped working. I'm like, I know what's wrong with the furnace. And I go back up on the crawl space and I look, and what I'm looking for is because I'm thinking that when they were fixing the roof, they were cutting the roof, the patches of roof to put new roof, and as they were cutting it, they cut the cable that goes from the thermostat to the furnace. And I know that because somebody called her phone line many years ago. And that's probably what happened now. So I look at the cable and it's cut in 3 places. I take my electrical tape and I fix the cable on one spot. I fix the cable on another spot. And as soon as I fix the cable on the 3rd spot, poof, the furnace goes alive. It's working, my mom says. And I crawl out of the crawl space and I had dirt all over me, on my face, in my clothes. And my mom is so happy that she wants to hug me. But then she looks at me and she's like, oh. And then she's like, how do you know how to fix it? And I'm not going to tell her that I knew because she will take the chancla and hit me. So I look at my mom and I say, immigrants, we get the job done. But my mom has never seen Hamilton, so she has no idea what I'm talking about. And she's like, what? And I say, nothing. And then my mom looks at me and she says, you are full of dirt. You should take a shower before you go home. And I look at myself and I have dirt all over the place. And I start to go into her washroom and I stop. Because what if this is a trap? What if the shower is not working? What if the toilet is not flushing? What if the sink is leaking? I don't want to go in there and find out what's wrong is in there and try to fix it. So I get out of the washroom, I told my mom, you know what, I'm just going to go home like this. Because if I go home all clean and nice, my wife is not going to believe that I was here. And my mother looks at me and she said, like, okay, whatever. And I run out of her house and I get in my car, I start my car and I speed out before she can call me and tell me that something else broke, and I make it 1 block before my phone starts ringing. And I pull over and I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, something else broke. And I look at my phone and yes, it's my mom. And she texted me, gracias, mijo. Thank you, son, for coming here and fixing the stuff. And I feel a little bit bad because I was running away. But I know by looking at the text that if my mother had called me and said that the furnace or something else wasn't working, I was going to do a U-turn. And I was going to go back to her house. And I was going to get caught. I was going to get burned. I was going to get electrocuted trying to fix whatever broke. Because that's the way she raised me. And immigrants, we get the job done. We get the job done. We do things. That's how my mother raised me. Having an appreciation of home, of hard work, of where I came from. My mom raised me in such a way that every Sunday morning we have Guatemalan breakfast together. She makes Guatemalan food and I go to the Guatemalan bakery to get Guatemalan breakfast together with my mom. I had to buy the bread. That's my job. That and eat her food. I'm really good at that. So I go to the Guatemalan bakery like every Sunday. I go and I start to buy the bread, which I don't like that much to buy the bread because I'm cheap. But it's for my mom to go have breakfast with my mom. She makes the food, so okay. I start to pay for the bread. When I look behind the counter, because there's a sign, there's a flyer, and I'm looking at the flyer. Is that true? I asked the lady on the counter, and she looks over and she's like, oh yeah, we sell pollo campero here. Okay, I can see by your reaction that you don't know what pollo campero means. So pollo campero means country chicken. Okay, you like country chicken, big deal. Country chicken is the most delicious chicken you could ever have. Pollo Campero is the name of a restaurant in Guatemala that makes this delicious chicken with secret spices and a secret recipe. And I have been in this country for 20-something years. My mom has been in this country for over 3 decades. We hadn't had Pollo Campero in all those years. So I'm going to buy Pollo Campero instead of the bread and surprise my mom. And I ask, how much for 2 pieces? And they say $50. I'm cheap. I don't want to pay $50 for 2 pieces of chicken. So instead, I'm going to order one for me and don't tell my mom about it. So I ordered 1 piece, and I'm about to pay the $25, and then the lady tells me, come back in 3 weeks. 3 weeks for a piece of chicken? I start to complain, and the lady says, sir, this is a bakery. We don't make the pollo campero that is made with a secret recipe. We go to New York where there's a pollo campero. We buy the pollo campero there, then bring it here. But I don't know if you're coming back soon, so it's going to take 3 weeks because my husband goes every end of the month when he has a bunch of orders together, so you have to wait 3 weeks. I think about it, and in 3 weeks, it's going to be my mom's birthday. And I know you're thinking, you're going to give a piece of chicken for your mom's birthday as a gift? Yes. Because this is pollo campero, the most delicious pollo chicken you could have. And if I have memories of going to Guatemala, imagine all the memories that she has, more than me, more special than me. So yes, I ordered 2 pieces of chicken and I go home. I had the breakfast with my mom. I don't say anything about the chicken. And 3 weeks later, they call me, the chicken is ready. Have you ever been on a drive-thru waiting for your order and it takes more than 5 minutes and you're like, why is it taking so long? I want to talk to the manager. I waited 3 weeks and I'm so happy when I get there. I'm here for my chicken. Where's my chicken? 2 pieces of chicken. And the lady's like, here it is, sir. She gives me the chicken. I take it and it's frozen. That's what I say. $50 for 2 pieces of frozen chicken? What the? And the lady's like, sir. When my husband goes to New York, he buys the chicken. But I don't know if you're coming back in a day, in 2 weeks. Some people take a long time. So we freeze the chicken so it doesn't spoil. But don't worry, put it on the microwave for a minute. It will be as good as new. $50 for 2 pieces of frozen chicken. This better be good. This better be good. I go home, and as soon as I knock on the door, my niece opens the door. What do you want? I'm here to see my mom. I'm not here to see you. I tell my niece, whatever. She goes into her room and closes the door. I go into the kitchen, tell my mom to close her eyes, to sit down. I open the microwave, put the chicken, 2 minutes, boop. I open the door. Is that pollo campero? My mom says, is that food? My niece says, opening the door to her room, goes into the kitchen, grabs my chicken, puts ketchup on it, and starts eating it. No! I tell my niece, what? You don't put ketchup on pollo campero? Why not? Because it's a special chicken made with a special recipe, a secret recipe, secret spices. Like KFC? And she's kind of right, but she's kind of wrong because this is pollo campero. So I'm explaining to her everything about pollo campero, how special it is. And then I notice my mom is eating her chicken. My niece is eating my chicken that I paid $50 for, and they are almost done with the chicken. I look at my mom, and I tell my mom, can you give me a piece of chicken? And my mom stops and takes a little nugget and puts it in my hand. and I look at this tiny little nugget of chicken that I paid $50 for, and I put it in my mouth, and immediately, all the memories of celebrating birthdays and going there with my brothers and the sounds of Guatemala just get into my head and my heart and my soul, and I'm back there and I am so happy, and I look at my mom and she's eating her chicken with tears of happiness running down her face. And I know that I paid $50 for this tiny piece of chicken, but I can see my mom, how happy she is. And it is $50, but some memories are priceless. Memories are so special, are so important. It's what has kept us going in this country. All the memories from Guatemala, all the memories that I have, that finally, after many years living in this country without being able to go back to Guatemala, I managed to finally get on a plane and head back to Guatemala for the first time in over 3 decades. And I cannot tell you all the emotion that I feel knowing that I'm back in Guatemala when the plane finally lands, because for the first time in my adult life, I'm back in my native country, and for the first time, I'm going to be in a room where most people are my same height. I am so happy to be back in Guatemala. I want all those memories that are being in my head and my heart and my soul. I want to experience them live. I want to see the wide open spaces of my childhood. I want to breathe the fresh air. I want to be in a big city that is big but is quiet. And I'm so happy I get out of the airport and I get on an Uber, because we do have Ubers in Guatemala. And as soon as I get on the Uber driver looks at me and says, "Hey, where are you from?" And I hate that he asked me this question, because I've been living in this country for over 3 decades. And the first thing that people ask me when they see me is, "Where are you from?" I did came to this country undocumented, but now I am an American citizen. I am an American. But people would never see me as an American. People would always see me as the other. And people always ask me, "Where are you from?" in this country. And for the first time, I'm back in my native country. And the first time this guy asked me, he's like, "Where are you from?" And I am so mad that I want to scream at him. But then I realize, when I speak Spanish, I sound like a Mexican because I've been in Chicago for so long. And I have long, beautiful hair like somebody from Ecuador. And I'm coming from the damn airport. So he has a point to ask me where I'm come from. So I say, "Well, dude, I was actually born here in Guatemala, but I've been in Chicago for many years." And he say, "Oh, how is Chicago?" And I say, "It's cold." It's so cold that it reminds me of my ex-wife. We laugh. And then I told him how happy I am to be back in Guatemala and see the wide open spaces and feel the fresh air and look at the big city. And he looks at me like I'm crazy. He starts driving, and as soon as we get out of the airport, I see why he looked at me that way. Because the wide open spaces of my childhood are now gone. Where we used to play soccer with my friends, now there's a house, and another house, and another house, and another house. There's so many people. And the fresh air, I don't know if you know this, but in Guatemala, there are no emission tests. So every other car is leaving behind a cloud of smoke. I can't breathe. And a big, quiet city, I am a Latino. I like to play loud music when I'm driving. I'm in a country full of Latinos. There's merengue, salsa, cumbia, bachata, there's everything. Everybody's playing their music loud, everybody's honking. I can't stand it, and there's so much traffic. It should have taken us 2 hours to get to the hotel. It's being in rush traffic, bumper to bumper for 6 hours. We're going nowhere. We finally make it to the hotel, and now I'm feeling a little bit better because I'm going to Lake Atitlan, the most beautiful lake in the world. When I was a little kid, my mother took me to the lake, and I got on the lake, and the water was up to my chest, which is not that high. But I could see my toes. And I got in the water, and I scooped up some water, and I drank the water. I don't know if you can do that here. The water was so fresh and so delicious. I want to get back to that lake and see it like I did on my childhood. So I get to the lake, and when I get there, there's a restaurant and an hotel and a lot of people, and everybody's taking selfies, and the water is murky and smells kind of funky. And there's a sewer pipe that is going into the lake. This is not the Guatemala of my memories. This is not the lake that I remember. This is not the Guatemala that I remember. Everything has changed. But maybe, just maybe it's me who changed. Because I get tired of walking everywhere. I get tired of the people. I get so tired that I start to miss the smell of pee on the CTA stations. I start to miss the USA where I've been living for over 3 decades. So a few days later, I'm back on a plane. And as soon as the plane lands and I get out of the terminal, I know I'm back in the USA, baby. And I know I'm back in the USA because in Guatemala, everybody was so nice. Everybody look at you in the eyes. Everybody say, good morning, how are you? So you're good morning. Everybody's smiling. I'm at the terminal, everybody's looking at the phone, everybody's in a rush, some people are giving me the finger, everybody's pushing me, everybody's being rude. I miss that so much. I feel so at home that I want to have a USA meal. So there at the terminal, I go into a restaurant, I order a hamburger, I order fries, I order a soda, and I sit down and I eat my USA meal. And then I take my phone and I pay the USA way with my app. And I get out of the restaurant and I feel somebody tapping my shoulder and I look and it's the waitress. She told me that I didn't pay for my order. And I show her the application, and she doesn't believe me. She grabs me and takes me back to the restaurant, and we look at the computer, and she realized that I did pay, and she blames me on the computer. She doesn't apologize. I am so mad. I want to scream at her. I want to call her names, and I'm just so tired of this because I've been in this country for 5 minutes, and I'm already a victim of microaggressions. So I get out of the restaurant, and I sit on the terminal because I just want to go home. But where is home? I just came back from my native land, and it doesn't feel like home anymore. Everything has changed, and I spent 5 minutes back in the USA, I'm already being attacked. And don't get me wrong, I love this country. I love this country because this country is the country of my many firsts. The first time I made love to a woman, the first time I got married, the first time I got divorced. I love this country and its promise of life, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. But just like many immigrants and like many people of color that love this country so much, I just wish that this country would love me back the same way.
Little bit of adjustment needed. Well, that's almost a wrap, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But before we leave on out of here, we have more people to thank or to remind you to thank. So, Mark, would you hit us on that?
Sure. We want to thank again the Cedar Rapids Public Library and their amazing staff that helped make this all possible. We want to thank the people that helped make it financially possible, too. That's our 2 anonymous donors. That's David Meyer from the Cedar Rapids City Council. That is some of the other people that have donated. So, yes. Snapping, clapping, we'll take it all. I want to thank TellersBridge. If you want to know more about TellersBridge, come see us at our home on the web at tellersbridge.org. I want to thank IPR for the amazing sound support. I think there's a couple more people we have to thank, right?
Let's start with Howard Lieberman.
Yeah?
Come on down, Howard. We may as well get a group photo. Mark Latta. Tim Boyle. Come on down. Come on down. Zed St. Charles. Stephanie Rogers. Your half of the show, Mark.
Oh, yes. We want to thank Corey May. We want to thank Will Wims. We want to thank Sherry Silverman. Yes, Sherry Silverman.
Don't forget Jamie
Jamie
freaking
Ward as well. Sherry Sullivan.
May I
How
get
about
you
Sherry
all to
Sullivan?
come down on stage, please? We're going to do a group photograph because someone is responsible enough to take a photograph.
And of course, Nestor Gomez.
Nestor, come on down. Now,
Act like you like each other. Squeeze in.
come on, back. Yeah. Come on, get good. Jeez, I have to be the person organizing the pictures.
Yes. And you get right here. I'm here. I see the camera.
I can't hold my stomach for too long.
Favorite meal is macaroni and cheese.
You could have painted our picture by now.
And most importantly, thank you to you, our audience. It wouldn't have been possible without you. We'll see you next year.
You have been a phenomenal audience. And Cedar Rapids, we love you!